Hello and welcome to another Comics Burst from the Full Force podcast, sponsored by Distant Planet Comics and Collectibles, where we take an in-depth look at the newest G.I. Joe comics and related titles of the week, with me as your host, Chris, Captain T-Jerk, the T stands for Twerk, McLeod, aka Diagnostic 80, so that would be Captain Twerk Jerk. Joining me on this episode is Paddy, can't think of anything that rhymes with Spock, Lennon. On this instalment of your absolutely favourite kind of burst, we have a bit of catching up to do with the two latest issues of Star Trek vs. Transformers, so without further ado, let's get stuck into this comics burst. Klingons and Decepticons lay siege to a remote Federation dilithium mine, and the only thing holding them back is the shaky alliance of Captain Kirk and Optimus Prime. But what dark secret is buried beneath the ground? And can this uneasy partnership withstand the revelations? So Paddy, Star Trek vs. Transformers issue 3, I really enjoyed this one. What about yourself?
Yeah, I think it's something we'll talk about both of them, but they're both very action-packed issues.
Yeah.
This one in particular, where it's essentially one long extended action sequence, which I kind of like. It's like the middle third of a Transformers cartoon,
yeah,
where everybody's fighting everybody, which is great. So it really breezes along very, very quickly. Other than that, I don't really know what to say about it. It's a really nice action issue.
I'm just really enjoying the fact that this is keeping my interest going, and I'm still really excited to get the next issue each time. And I feel like, a bit of a spoiler alert, but I feel very similar to the issue 4. But basically, I've just been really impressed with how it's almost like they have really done well in taking that aesthetic from the cartoons, both cartoons, not just combining them together, but kind of putting them out there as like this one cohesive unit that just really works. And I'm actually really desperate to see what this would look like animated as well. I think it would be really cool, especially this little storyline. And speaking of the action in this one, obviously we get some really cool kind of, reveals, as it were. We get the Klingon ship transforming into Trypticon, which is really awesome. And we get, and which is actually brings up a really funny little quote from Spock. He says it appears to be an Earth-based Tyrannosaurus Rex, which is a bit of an illogical form for a Cybertronian. And I really like that kind of comment. It's like very, as if, we were definitely thinking that when we were, or as adults especially. It's like, well, why the hell is he a T-Rex? But, I just really, I love that kind of almost like logical thing that Spock keeps throwing out every now and again. But also we get that amazing reveal at the end where Kirk's been kind of mind molded with this brand new, it should be called brand new USS Enterprise, because it's kind of developed underground in Teletran, isn't it? And then he transforms into Fortress Tiberius, which is just incredible. I love that. I thought it was brilliant.
It's a great design, isn't it? It really works.
Yeah.
I really like it. But yeah, I mean, like I said, it clips along really, really quickly. It's a really nicely paced action issue, and it feels to be very much in tone with the two series that it's taking on.
Yeah.
Like it feels like a Saturday morning cartoon.
Big time.
It doesn't. It's not a particularly deep story. Let's be honest.
No, not at all.
But the dialogue is on point. The action's on point. And I find it like if this had actually been a cartoon in the 1980s, I think we would have lapped it up.
Oh, big time. Well, let's actually, because this is actually just there's not much more to really say. As you said before, the art's really, really solid again. And you mentioned to me earlier about Jack Lawrence doing this one, didn't you? Yeah.
So I think Jack Lawrence filled in for this issue because my understanding is this was originally solicited as a 4-issue, and then they extended it by an extra issue.
Yeah.
Partway through the production of it. So they gave basically Phil Murphy, I think, the first 2 issues and the last 2 issues, and needed someone to fill in the middle point, which is this issue with Jack Lawrence. He matches his style almost perfectly.
Big time.
In the same way that Phil Murphy did in the first 2 issues. Like you wouldn't be able to tell this is a different artist.
Yeah, and that's a really important thing, I think, for these kind of like contained mini-series. I think we're in the past where we've seen, obviously in the long story arcs, you tend to get back and forth with certain artists, but the styles can be so different that it's almost like you're reading a completely different story. So it's really good that that Jack Lawrence specifically kind of matched what Phil had been doing so far. And yeah, you're right. Absolutely perfect, spot on. There's some really nice gorgeous scenes in there as well. I love the fact when Kurt gets his mind, the memories kind of downloaded, I suppose, kind of mixed in with Teletran. You get this really amazing him in the middle with all of the memories around him. I just really like that, and the battle scenes are really, really dynamic. And the other thing is as well, it doesn't take too long explaining things. The pacing of the writing's really solid as well. So with that said, Paddy, what would you give this issue 3 out of 5?
I'm going to go with a 4.
I'm going to go one better. Sorry, I'm going to go half. I'm going to go half better and say 4.5. And I don't know why I'm not giving it full, but I think somewhere along the lines there's a better issue in this 5-parter. I don't know which one it would be though. So I'm just going to go 4.5 for no reason, because I could easily see this as a 5. It's just really, I really enjoy it, and I'm excited to get it. And as quick as it is, pace-wise, I don't feel like I'm rushed through it, and I don't feel like I get to the end and go, oh, like that was too quick. Like I feel like there's a nice balance going on all around this series. Anyway,
yeah, definitely.
So that's issue 3. Let's move calmly on to the 4th issue of this series, Explosion. Star Trek vs. Transformers issue 4, as if you didn't know. With the Enterprise disabled by the Klingon-Decepticon alliance, things look dire for Spock, Optimus Prime and the landing team, but with the Autobots' help, can Captain Kirk come up with a solution to save the day from a massive Cybertronian threat? Now, good pacing going straight into this. It almost feels like the same issue, and
it does, doesn't it?
We've got a different artist to get, we're back to Phil Murphy. And you're right, like there's hardly, you don't feel like you don't feel a jarring transition, do you?
No, not at all. In fact, it feels like one double-sized issue, if anything else.
Yeah.
Like this could have been just a double-sized issue, and I think we would have been fine with it.
Big time.
You wouldn't have even noticed. Like I said, it's granted, it almost continues on almost exactly the same fight scene as the last issue. And again, the first half of the issue is a continuation of the last issue.
Yeah.
And then it goes straight into, of course, Starscream betraying everybody.
Of course.
Because, of course, he was going to do that. This is a Saturday morning cartoon and comics page. Of course he was going to do that. A couple of things I really like. I really like the fight scenes between Fortress Tiberius and Trypticon.
Yeah.
Like, when they punch each other, it looks like they're doing each other damage.
Big time.
Like, there's a nice bit of, smacking around going on there, so that looks great. And I'm not sure if I like the Fortress Tiberius design that really works. I think it looks great. I'm not sure if the whole Trypticon as a Klingon warbird works. It looks like he's just wearing a warbird on his back.
Yeah. No, I can definitely see that. It's almost like, I mean, that must be a really difficult kind of thing to work out. It's like, how do you kind of combine a T-Rex and a Klingon warship? Like there's no real, design cues, because you've still really got to get Trypticon looking like Trypticon, and then you've got to get the Klingon warship looking like the warship. So I suppose, forgive that for the most part in this issue, because everything else is so good. Would you have seen maybe a different kind of Titan involved in that situation? Do you think something else could have been utilized?
I'm not sure what else they could have really used, to be honest.
You've only really got combiners, haven't you?
You've really only got your options are essentially Scorponok or Trypticon, and I don't know if Scorponok would have worked either. So unless he was kind of facing backwards,
I mean, his tail could have been the Klingon warship, couldn't it?
And then the tail could have been the bridge of the warship.
Yeah.
If you get me, in the claws would have been the warp nacelles. But it's a very minor nitpick to have.
It's almost like we're trying to find things in it.
It's like we're trying to find things that don't work, because otherwise it's so good.
Yeah.
One thing I would like to point out, and she was in issue 2 in the background, and now she's in issue 4 again in the background, is the Klingon woman with the afro.
Yeah.
And I think they should base an entire series around her.
I agree, definitely.
She doesn't have any lines, but it looks like the design looks so great.
Yeah.
She should really be given her own limited series. Klingon with an afro, it's great.
Big time. I love the Klingons in general, like really kind of throwback, aren't they? They've got that the hairstyles and everything are all very kind of on that kind of 70s vibe and everything. I'm digging it. Yeah, I mean, again, there's nothing I can really say. The only thing I would say is that I definitely can feel that they've changed tack and had to add on an extra story element to extend to this 5 series kind of scenario. Now, I'm not sure whether they had whether John Barber and Mike Johnson, I feel that they might have written this story as a 4-piece. It just is just a feeling. I don't know this for sure, but it would have ended pretty much with the, you know, the kind of Fortress Tiberius versus the Triptychon, and then you would have had like maybe a cliffhanger at the end to leave it open, you know, to then go into like the next, you know, a possible future series and stuff. But then what we have is, like you say, like halfway through this halfway through this issue, we get this Starscream kind of almost subplot appearing.
His inevitable betrayal.
Yeah, and I feel like that. I think possibly that might have been written differently previously, and then obviously this addition for the extra issue, which we'll be covering when that comes out. But you know, that I get the feeling that there maybe they had to kind of like not come up with something, but kind of maybe flesh out that part of the story a little bit more. What do you think about that? Yeah,
maybe it does kind of come out of left field. I mean, not really, because it's Starscream. He was always good to portray somebody. But otherwise, in terms of this series, it comes out a little bit out of left field. But like, you know, it's not the worst thing that's ever happened. I'll forgive it, and particularly if the final issue is as good as these 2 issues have been, I think we'll be fairly forgiving of it.
Oh, totally. And it looks like we're going to get a different scene, a different kind of setting and background for the next issue on the Klingon planet as well.
on Kronos. So that'll be nice. Give it a different change to, you know, the backgrounds and so on.
Okay, Paddy. So for this particular issue, are you in the similar boat with it, or is what kind of score?
I'm in the same boat with 4.
I'm going to go 4 on this one, but only because I gave the other one 4.5, and I feel like this one is really, really good. But I have no other reasoning. I'm just going to say 4.5.
You got a husband does resources, Chris. You can't be given 4.5.
I know. I've literally just embelled myself into a corner, haven't I? I've just embelled myself into a General's Joe's reviews corner. Just kidding. But anyway. Yes, so that's...
He's not Justin.
He's going to have to go back and change all of those reviews now that the boss fight figures came out. But, so, okay, Star Trek and Transformers really flying along at the moment. Can't wait for that issue 5. So, yeah, so I think that kind of... If the last issue is as solid as 3 and 4... then, you know, this is going to be one brilliant little mini-series. It's not going to... It's not. I mean, it can't be that bad, the last issue. There's no way, really. But, it could obviously diminish an overall score a little bit. But in all honesty, I've been really happy with this. And I hope we get more out of it. What about yourself?
Yeah, I certainly hope everybody involved gets more work. I'll never turn them down for more work. I'm not sure if we need another... original series Transformers crossover.
Yeah,
I would like to see the same team do something else, maybe.
Yeah,
you know, I think this is a perfect thing for 5 issues, but I think if you stretched it too long, the nostalgic connection to it might wear itself out.
Yeah,
I think I would almost prefer this to be 5 really good issues and then done, if that makes sense.
Yeah, totally.
Do it well and then get out.
No, I agree with that. I think that maybe at the actual most, to just keep it as mini-series based kind of specials, maybe twice a year, you know, at the most. Like, nothing, like you say, nothing like a long story arc, an ongoing or anything. It's probably not necessary. What about the G.I. Joe Sunbow series? Could you see that working in this kind of like this kind of style?
Well, I've never watched any of it other than Arise Serpentor Arise, so I couldn't tell you.
Yeah, then I'll just say it from my point of view. It will work, and I want to see it. But anyway, thanks, Paddy. Thanks, Paddy, for jumping on, mate. Much appreciated. That's it for this instalment of the Full Force Comics Burst. Thank you to my awesome co-host, Paddy Lennon. See you next time, and as always, Full Force. Make sure you get involved with the discussion by liking, sharing and commenting on these videos, and as always you can keep up with the show after listening by following on Twitter @TheFullForce, liking the Facebook page facebook.com/TheFullForce, and if you would like to contact the show you can message us on either of those platforms with feedback, questions or just a troll. Look out for more of these comic bursts on Podbean, iTunes, Stitcher, our Facebook page, Twitter feed and YouTube channel from now on. Full Force. And a big shout out to our sponsors, Distant Planet Comics and Collectibles, located at 601 Business Loop 70 West Suite 263, located in the Parkade Center, Columbia, Missouri. You can visit their website at distantplanetcomics.com and on Facebook at facebook.com/distantplanetcomics.